Hey guys, Mathel here once again with another attempt at Molten Blast. I played this skill, I don't know, last patch I think, and it went pretty damn well. It was actually a really strong skill mechanically and I had a lot of fun with it. I was looking forward to my next attempt at the skill, and lucky for me there is a new support gem that makes it quite a bit dumber than it once was. That is Nova Projectiles, and it's kind of too much, honestly. Like, you can put it on very early on, as soon as you get the skill at level 14, if you've got the right tier of support gem, and then your gameplay becomes pretty damn potato from then onwards. Essentially, you just spew out projectiles all over the screen with every single attack, and if you scale attack speed well enough, you can just do the same as how we played it last time, and that is move forward while attacking. So pretty much you can just hold down right click or your attack button and non-stop shit out projectiles while moving forward. I haven't scaled crazy amounts of attack speed on this one, so I don't like move through the map too fast while just attacking, but it's still well enough that as long as there's mobs around, it's worth just right clicking and blasting a lot of molten blast projectiles. The damage on the skill seems to be pretty damn good with the Nova Proj at the moment. So last time, I think I kind of ran into a bit of single target issues, so it was still decent overall, but it wasn't the best single target. This time around, it feels like my single target never dropped off, and it was just good the entire time. Yeah, I guess part of that is because I ignored all defense, so this character here is paper thin, and it's still good enough to just like kind of kill before being killed. I just then showed that it was a tier 3 Zesht, did a simulacrum on tier 2 pretty damn easily. Did die on the tier 3 simulacrum at like wave 11, something like that, because yeah, eventually do get a little bit overwhelmed. Unfortunately, this is a pretty heavy skill on your PC frame wise. So this is the MTX that you can buy, which actually makes frames even worse. And I've got dynamic culling on, so like a lot of the particles are kind of being dissipated, and yet it's still destroying the frames. So if I just attack with Molten Blast with the Nova Proj in my hideout, we drop to something like 80 FPS. If I turn on the MTX, I drop to something like 60 FPS. And then once you start attacking while there's abysses around, it drops to like 20, 30 FPS. So it's pretty rough on the old PC, and yeah, it's going to be a tough one visibility wise, and just ridiculous gameplay style over here. So it is what it is. That's kind of what PoE2 seems to be doing at the moment with many builds, but it's pretty damn fun, it's pretty damn flashy, and very effective. I think there's lots of different ways you can build this thing. So the first time I played this, I built it with the Olro maces that were just flat lightning, and they give you most of the damage you'll need in the build. This time around I went with a kind of a tri-Ellie situation. This is currently a Gemling Legionnaire. I initially started as a Witch Hunter because I wanted the explodes, but as my character kind of progressed, I decided I'd be Tri-Herald with the Coming Calamity Chest, which is the first time using that thing. And it meant I didn't really need Witch Hunter explosions, and as such, I just went Gemling, and it went into kind of a better build overall. So it's like Trinity scaling for the first time that I've ever done, which is a difficult way of building, and I'll talk about that for the character in a sec. Otherwise, yeah, it's just a very strong skill mechanically, and I think you can do just about any ascendancy with it, and just about any style of damage scaling and build scaling. Because this is a non-crit build as well, which is kind of surprising to me because I didn't do any crit scaling, just a bunch of percent damage on the tree, and the damage seems to be pretty damn good. So scale gem levels, scale damage, and you still got yourself some pretty thick damage in this game. Very strong character, just kind of paper thin, but overall, yep, probably going to move on and do something else at this point. So let me go ahead and show you how I built this character up to this point. So here's our character level 90, Gemling Legionnaire, lightning damage, Kermit Gape. Kermit Gape, yep. And lightning damage. I was planning to go Doriani's prototype on this build, kind of when I first thought about it. I'm like, I want to do lightning damage and do the lightning resist stuff. it just kind of went a different direction as I was building, and I ended up seeing Coming Calamity was pretty cheap, you know, like a base level one of these costs nothing. We're talking like a few exalts. A good roll and high levels and stuff cost a little bit more, but this one was just a few exalts. And I never won one of these, and I thought I should try this thing out. So Herald of Ash, Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, you get all three of those, and they're all free, so they don't cost any reservation. And that combined with Trinity scaling and then Painter's Gloves to balance out the Trinity made for pretty good scaling. So I went that route instead of anything else, and it seemed pretty damn successful. So the idea in the end was to go try Ellie damage. Um, with Molten Blast and use all three Heralds and then scale Trinity because it can give you a lot more damage. So it can have up to 300 resonance, and if you scale its gem levels well enough, it goes pretty hard. So currently 7% more per 30. So it can give you 70% more damage. If you scale it even further with like a few more gem levels, level 20, maybe even level 21 Trinity, you know, if you get lucky like that, and then also even more gem levels by using Fire Flower as level 6, it can get pretty damn thick. I think it'll probably do like 80 or 90% more damage. So yeah, in the end, I decided to use something like Fire Flower because it gives us +4 to our skill, but also to Trinity since it has all the elemental tags. And if you do fire quality and then corrupt them and end up hitting a +6, it ends up scaling pretty high, right? So I did try and do that. So I ended up corrupting fire flowers by buying just uncorrupted ones and then putting quality on them and putting my anoint, and I did maybe about 60 of these without getting a +6. So all it needs to do is re-roll itself into the 1 to 4 category, hit the 4, but then do the higher percentage of the 4 as vials do, and then enough that it hits the +5 that then gets qualityed over to yeah, +6. Essentially, yep, that's what it's happening over here. I didn't end up hitting it after like 60 of them, so we settled on a +4. Given that it's only a +4, you're probably better off just doing projectile skill amulet so you're not taking damage, because you may notice on the boss fights I do take some damage here. So take 125 damage when you ignite an enemy. When you're hitting the enemy a lot, igniting them a lot, you do end up taking a good bit of damage. So my life flask is what's keeping me alive there, because I don't have any like life down hit or leech otherwise. In any case, the idea was to go Fire Flower so that Trinity scales more, so that my skills scale more, and we're doing that with basic weapons that just have some fire, lightning, or fire, cold, cold, lightning, whatever it is, some Ellie damage, and then some attack speed, and then you're using Battle Essence to get the +4. So I just bought some maces here. Both of these I just bought off the market that weren't too expensive. I think this one was maybe like 60 exalt or something. This one may have been like 2 divines, some shit like that, with attack speed suffixes, and then 2 bad suffixes. And I just hit them with a battle essence and did not hit the attack speed. So then it meant that we got the +4 on both of them. So that's how basically I went about that. But yeah, you can do bigger weapons, smaller weapons. You can do just all row Visara maces, same as what I did on the previous character, and this should just carry you as much as you want. It can be very fast as well, and should have all the damage you'll probably ever need. But then you're not scaling gem levels quite as much as I am, because as you can see with the gem levels that I've been scaling, we currently have level 34, and it does 750 attack damage. It gets pretty damn thick. So yeah, currently the main thing that's happening here is Nova projectiles. You then have Ricochet, so that when things bounce off of walls, it does quite a bit more damage. So you'll notice as you play this skill that boss arenas become kind of important as to how much damage you're dealing. And then we've got Longshot, Rapid Attacks, and Early Armament. Not sure how well Longshot works, because, it like might be that I'm like kind of melee and maybe the Ricochet doesn't interact with it well. I don't know. I'm using it anyway. Yeah. So other than that, it's just, yep, some flat alien stuff. I'm using Alpha's Howl to increase my presence radius here, because enemies in my presence have no Ellie resist. So we're not worrying about Ellie res or anything. So as you can see with Alpha's Howl, our presence gets pretty damn thick. And that means that just about everything around me will not have resists. Otherwise, yep, some res there, some res and movement speed, and then some flat damage on rings. So that can be pretty important if you want to, get a lot of your damage from rings. You certainly can. So I just looked for fire, cold, or lightning, and then comboed them and do attack catalyst for quality. Gives you quite a lot of damage, and also make sure you get mana leech somewhere. So I've got mana leech on both these things incidentally, but you do want it somewhere, and then comboed with this node over here is how we get all of our mana back. The passive tree, initially I was like all the way down here and doing stuff, but it just seemed a bit inefficient, so ended up just cutting that out and going over to the right hand side of the tree and just scaling pure non-crit. I was just looking across the tree for all kinds of damage that just did something and somewhat efficient damage, because being non-crit's a bit weird. So we did plenty of attack speed scaling, plenty of just flat damage, percent damage, sorry, scaling. Did a bit of days over there, some herald stuff, some proj stuff for the additional chain from terrain. What else? Otherwise, yeah, just some percent damage up there as well. Gemling Legionnaire in the end seemed pretty good, so that we can get +2 to skills for anything that had strength on it, so that included Molten Blast. Quality can be pretty good. It's good for Trinity for its skill speed. And then finally, over here, we've got this one for increased skill speed per green support gem, which ends up being quite a decent amount that I'm running on Molten Blast. So we've got a lot of skill speed there as well. In the end, yeah, the playstyle was pretty fun and fairly effective. But like I said, this character, the way I built, I just couldn't actually really get any armor or evasion. So it's kind of paper thin, and I wouldn't really recommend it. I would like to think you can build a much thicker character while still getting lots of damage. I had no idea what my damage potential was going to be like, so I went with more of a damage perspective to begin with. So it's not a very balanced character, but if you want to copy something like this, it'll still take you plenty far. You just got to be careful as to what kind of damage you're taking. Aside from that, I also tried out Forge Hammer and Shockwave Totem and Infernal Cry for the first time to see what the fishes were like. I use it as a pre-boss kind of setup. I'm not scaling as well on this thing because it's more about projectile damage, but it's still pretty good. So you can see, you just throw down your Forge Hammer, you use your Infernal Cry, it puts down fishes, and then you use a totem and it does that. I didn't focus on this thing very much at all. I didn't really even do very good links, I don't think. But it still does some decent bit of damage, and it's a bit of a additional tool for the build. So in the end, the links for stuff are Herald of Ash has Swift AF and Magnified Area. Herald of Ice has Magnified Area, Execute, plus Cold and Ellie damage. Herald of Thunder has Magnified Area, more Ellie, +1, and Long Shot. Molten Blast already had that. Voltaic Mark I barely actually ever used, so take that with a grain of salt. It was on my bar, but most of the time just blast things before even actually using it. War Banner I was using sometimes, but I didn't really like how long it takes to place most of the time. Still just going to be better to not do that. Trinity has +1 support and then 3% life on kill. Forge Hammer had Close Combat, Fist of War, Ellie Focus, and Ellie Armament. Infernal Cry, I didn't really give it too much thought, just cooldown recovery. And then Shockwave Totem just had a bunch of attack speed, so rapid attacks, rage, and urgent totems. And Overwhelming Presence did something. I don't know. Yep. But that's basically the build. It was very fun to just, Molten Blast in all directions, but bear in mind it's going to be a bit PC heavy, I think. Yeah, you're going to want plenty of damage wherever you can get it, and then it'll feel fairly good. I do think that pretty much any ascendancy will work, like Amazon, Ritualist, both monks, and yeah, pretty much anything on the bottom side of the tree. I made a Stormweaver work last time. You could do that once again, but there's much less reason to be Stormweaver this time around, I think. But anything can work. Just, get some damage, put on some gear. For most of this character, up until, I think I'm level 90 now, up until about level 84, I was Witch Hunter, and my Ascendancy was doing damn near nothing for me. So I was pretty much playing unascended. No big deal. It'll still do damage. And that's just what the MTX looks like. So Coming Calamity and Alpha's Howl has a bit of swag to it. And yeah, not too bad. So with that, thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.